So why DSA still matter in 2025? So in 2025, with AI tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Copilot, and autoencoder doing so much heavily lifting, so do you still need to learn DSA? The short answer is yes. So let's break down why. Yes, AI tools can write code, even solve the lead code problem, but here is the truth. They are only as smart as the prompt you give. If you don't understand the concept, how can you judge what the correct or efficient? Blindly trusting the AI, it's equal to career trap. Top tech companies still test DSA in interview. Why? Because it's reveal how you think, not how you Google. AI can assist you, but you are the engineer. And trust me, your logical thinking matter way more than your tool stack. So just not only learning about the tools, it's better you can learn the DSA. So I'll list out some of the questions you can follow. So I'll give you a chapter while list of important DSA questions commonly used for practice and interview. And I just list it down based on some kind of topic. So first I'm going to give it here some kind of questions based on dynamic programming. And after that, I will give you the questions about the graph, tree, the BST, or the array, string, everything from scratch. So I list down all the questions in my mobile phone. So I'm going to write down here first dynamic programming. So let's click on here. Let's select the right one. So the first one is about the dynamic programming. Let's say dynamic programming. Okay, the hardest one. Even I like most. The first question you can solve, that's called 0 1 knapsack problem. So you have a knapsack bag, just need to taking the maximum value, and you can put it and you can fill the knapsack. Okay, 0 1 knapsack problem. It's nothing but the hello world of the dynamic programming. And second, you can solve the problems about the longest increasing subsequence. Let's say longest increasing subsequence. Okay, let's say subsequence. And third, you can solving here longest the common subsequence. Okay, subsequence. And fourth, you can solve the problems about the MCM, also stand for the matrix chain multiplications, the important one. Most of the question is coming from here, chain multiplication. I just make it mul. And fifth, you can solve the questions about the coin chain problems. So coin chains. And six, you can solve the edit distance, also the most important one. Okay, distance. And seven, you can solve the rod cutting problem. Okay, rod cutting problem, it's also the popular one. So you can solve these seven problem from the dynamic programming. So 0 1 knapsack problem, longest increasing subsequence, longest common subsequence, MCM pattern problem, and the coin chess, edit distance, and the rod cutting problems. Okay, and then we are writing the questions about the graphs. So you can say that in a graphs. So let's say graphs. Okay. So from the graphs, obviously the DFS BFS. Okay, you can first solve the questions about the BFS and DFS, the traversal technique, breadth first search, and the depth first. So all the question you can get in the lead code. Okay, you can get all the question in the lead code. So if you are interested to solving the problems, or uh, if you give me some kind of inspiration so that I can also make the videos about that, I will solve the problems. Then you can solve the detect cycle. So you can solve the, okay, so you can detect cycle. So it can be the directed or undirected. So undirected or directed graph. Okay. So the most important one, detect cycle. And third question, you can solve the topological sort. Topological sort. So using topological sort, you can also checking here if the graph has the cycle or not. The most important one. And fourth, you can solve the Dijkstra algorithm, which one is the shortest path algorithm. So Dijkstra, okay, Dijkstra's algorithm. So let's make it algo. And number five, you can solve the Kruskal algorithm. So let's say Kruskal's algorithm. And six, you can solve the Prim's algorithm. And in the number seven, you can solve the number of Iceland. Number of Iceland. It's also important. It's like the rate and match problem. And then in the number eight, you can solve the shortest path in grid. Okay, let's say shortest path in grid. So those are the basically the most important question you can solve in case of graph. I just give it to you some kind of common questions that you can use for practice of the interview round. Okay. Now let's take in the red one. Then you're going to give it to the questions about the tries. Okay. Tries is also one kind of data structures. So let's give it here the questions about the tries. Okay, I just give it from the hard, then hard to medium, and medium to actually the easy one. So one, you can solve the implement tries. Sometimes question is coming from this topic as well. And search and insert. Okay, search and insert in try. Okay. And third question, you may solve what break problem, the most important one. What break problem, the most star you can solve. Okay. The fourth one is auto complete suggestions. Auto complete suggestion. Okay. Those four problems you may solve in the case of try. That's enough. I think so. Now let's take in the black one. Okay. Then we discuss about the sliding undo. So it's about the sliding undo. So sliding undo, it's the most common one, common topic. Sliding window, as well as the two pointer approach. Okay, that's a two pointer. No problem. We also give you the questions about the recursion and the backtracking. So sliding into, maximum sum subarray of size k. Because this is a sliding into problem, must you need to give it here one window size. Then number two, the longest substring without repeating character. Okay, longest substring without repeating character. Okay, without repeating character. Okay, let's say character. Okay, and third, you may solve the minimum window substring. Okay, and fourth, you can solve the move zero to end. It's also important problem. Okay, move zero to end. And number fifth, you can say container with most water. Okay, container with most water. It's also important questions. The last one, it's also important. And the first one is the basics one for the sliding window. And number two is also important. Okay, in case of sliding window and two pointers. Okay, you can just solving this kind of four or five problems in case of sliding window. But if you need many more, no problem. You can also solve them. Okay, because this is the important topic, the sliding window. Then I'm going to go on to the first from the medium. So obviously array. So let's go to array first now. Then after we go to the everything. Okay, we give it to the questions. Okay, so from the array, so we can give it the questions. So let's array. So first question you can solve the find the largest or the smallest element. Okay, find the largest or the smallest element. Let's say smallest element. And then you can solve the cadence algorithm, the most important one. Okay, most important one, cadence algorithm. Okay, cadence algorithm. So using this cadence algorithm, you can actually solve the problem based on the maximum sub-array sum. So let's say maximum sub-array sum. Okay, let's say sub-array sum. If you need to do the maximum sub-array sum, then you can actually using here this cadence algorithm. And if you need to find the largest exponential number from the array, you can using these questions. Okay. And the third number is from the merge to shorted array. Let's say merge to shorted array. And in the number 4, you can using here rearrange array element alternatively. Okay, it's also important. And in the number 5, you can solve the majority element. Okay, majority element. It's also called the voting algorithm. The name is nothing but the Boyer-Moore voting algorithm. Okay, Boyer-Moore voting algorithm. Okay, let's say sorry, voting algorithm. Okay, I'll go. So this is also important, most important, and this is the important. Those algorithm is important in the case of the array. And 6, you can solving here the trapping rainwater. And in the 7, the last one, you can using here two sum or triplet sum to 0. Okay, so those are the question you can solve the case of array, the most important one, the seventh problem. Okay, and then we are going to solving the problems. I mean, give you the problems about the string. So let's say give it to you the problems about the string, the important one as well. This string is also those are the basic data structure, but most important in the case of medium questions or the hard questions. So from the string, so from string, you can first solving the problem, reverse a string. Okay, reverse a string or word in sentence. Okay, word in sentence. Okay. The number 2, you can check if a string is palindrome or not. Okay, string is palindrome. Okay, that's been how you actually reverse even one string, it remains same. So you can also solving this problem. And third, you can solving here the longest common prefix. Okay, common prefix. You get all of the question in the lit code. Okay. In the number 4, and also don't using here the chat gpt, don't use the chat gpt because it will just kill your brain. Okay, it will not make you a good engineer. Okay, so don't use chat gpt. It's better you try to solve by own self. It will be better. Okay, then longest, okay, longest palindromic substring. Okay, palindromic substring. If you want to be a actually a goat programmer or a goat engineer, don't use the AI. Okay, don't use the AI because AI just kill our brain. Okay, that's really true. Even though I am a AI developer, but that's the actual true. First learn the DSA. Okay, then you can solving here actually. You can solving here the count and say problem. It's a count and say problem. And 7th, you can solve the Rabin crap algorithm, the most important one. Okay, you can solve in this one. And in the 8, it's nothing but the bonus. You can actually implementing here substring certs as well. substring search. Sorry. Okay, and after string we are going to write in the questions about the linked list. Okay, let's write the questions about the linked list. Okay, let's say linked list. Okay, let's say linked list. It's also important linked list rather than the actually array. Okay, because some of the medium question is coming from here. So you can reverse a linked list. Reverse a linked list. See, reverse actually string is easy, or reverse an array is also easy. You can also use the stack. Otherwise, you can also use the two-pointer approach. But in case of linked list, it's quite hard. Okay. So number two, you can detect cycle. Detect cycle in the linked list. So it's also important. It's called Floyd algorithm. Okay. And third, you may solve the merge to shorted array. So the merge to shorted linked list. Merge to shorted लिंक लिस्ट थोड़ा पेन हो रहा है पर जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ मेरा टीथ पे थोड़ा सर्जरी हुआ है ना, इसलिए थोड़ा बात नहीं कर सकते हो, शायद ब्लड निकल जाए. ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. सो फाइंड मिडल ऑफ a linked list. Okay, let's say of a linked list. And five, you can remove nth element. Okay, not element, it should be the note. Okay, it's called note. So note from end. Okay, from end. And in the number six, you can solve the intersection. Okay, see, inter okay, intersection point of two list. Okay, point of two list, I mean linked list. Okay, and seven, the final one, clone a linked list. Okay, clone a linked list with a random pointer. Okay, random pointer. Okay, that's it. Okay, so those are the questions from the linked list, because linked list is also important in terms of the array. So many questions is coming up for here in the case of medium, because in the Fang or Mang company, it will give you two medium questions and one hard question. So obviously medium question can be taken from the linked list as well. Okay. And now we give it to the questions about the stack and QE. Okay. So let's go on here and stack and QE. So थोड़ा नीचे जाइए और. So let's give it to here a stack and QE. Okay. Stack and QE. So the first question you can solve is nothing but implement stack. Okay, implement stack using QE. And then you can use here the next greater element. Okay, next greater element. बहुत ज़्यादा था, greater है और the smaller. Okay, you may use. चार तरह के क्वेश्चन होते हैं इसमें. Then third, balance parenthesis. Okay, balance parenthesis. Okay, parenthesis. बहुत आते हैं क्वेश्चन इसमें. And fourth, you can using here the mean stack. Mean stack. Okay. And fifth, you can solving here the LRU catch. Okay, catch. And in the number six, you can solve the sliding window maximum. Let's say sliding window maximum. And in the seventh, you can solve in the last one, evaluate the burst Polish notation. Okay, बहुत ज़्यादा important है. Polish notation. It's also most important in case of the stack. Okay, stack and QE. Okay, so uh, now let's give you the questions about the tree. So from the tree, okay. So from the tree, so let's give it to here the questions about the tree. Okay. So first question you may solve in the tree, obviously in order, pre-order, and the post order. So it should be the in order. मैं थोड़ा धीरे बात करूँगा. Pre-order and the post order. Post order. Obviously, this is nothing but the traversal technique. Okay. In case of tree, obviously you need to learn about that. Okay. And number two, you can solve the label order traversal. Okay. Label order traversal. Just you need to travel the tree in the level wise. And third, you can may use the BFS DFS as well. And then you may use here, I mean, you may actually solving the third question. That's called diameter of a binary tree. Diameter of binary tree. Okay, binary tree. And then fourth, you may use the height of binary tree. Okay, that's a binary tree. In the number fifth, you may using here, I mean, you may solve the symmetric tree. And in the number six, you can solve the lowest common ancestor problem, the most important. Okay, ancestor problem, also called LCA. In the number seven, you may solve the serialized or deserialized binary tree, but it's not important at all. But sometimes आ ही जाता है. So you may use serialize and deserialize. Okay, binary trees. Okay. तो इसका बात है, थोड़ा टाइम दीजिए मुझे. 8-1. Okay, so you may get here the 8, number 8. Okay, number 8, you can solving here the construct. Okay, construct tree from pre-order and in order. Okay, this is also the important one. Okay, so next we are going to solve the questions. I mean, write down the questions about the binary search tree, also called the BST. So black click is what? So let's give it here black. That's called binary search tree. Okay, it's also stand for BST. Okay, so number one, it's called the belated BST. And number two, you may solve the search in BST. Okay, search in BST. And third question, you may solve the insert or delete operation in BST. Insert or delete in BST. And in the fourth, you can solve the cat smallest, okay, or the largest element. Okay, largest element. And in the number five, you may solve the convert BST to doubly linked list. Okay, doubly linked list. That's it. Okay, that's the question from the binary search. So after that, we may give you the questions from the heap. Okay, so let's give it a heap or priority key. Let's say heap. Okay, or heaps or the priority key. Okay, the first question you must solve, it's called heapy pie. So if you solve the question from the heap, but if you don't know what is the heapy pie, obviously you need to learn about that. And second, you can solve the questions about the merge k shorted array. Okay, there's a problem is going inside the heap. Okay, and third, the cat largest or a smallest element. And in the fourth, we can solve top cray frequent element. And then five, median in a stream. It's also important. The top k is also important, and heap pi is most important in the case of heap. Okay, and then we are going to give it to the questions about the recursion backtracking, and after that, the last one is called the greedy algorithms. Okay, so you can give it here recursion and backtracking. So let's say recursion and backtracking. Okay, it's also the most important one. Recursion and the backtracking. So first question you may solve is nothing but called the subset sum. Someone calling here actually Fibonacci series is the hello world of the recursions, but not subset sum is the hello world of the recursions. Okay. And second, you can solve generate all permutations. Okay. Permutation. And third, you can solve the n queens problem. Okay, n queens problem. And in the fourth, you may solve the Sudoku solver. Okay, Sudoku solver problem. And in the fifth, you may solve red in match. Okay, red in a match problem. And in the sixth, you may solve the word search. So you can also make it fast forward, but it's better you can just give it here the question name. And now final one is about the greedy algorithms. Okay, let's say greedy algorithm. So last one. Okay, greedy. Okay, let's say greedy. Okay, should be E, the algorithm. Okay, the first one you can solve the activity selections. Selection. And second, you can solve the fractional knapsack. Okay, it's not a problem of the dynamic programming, but it's problem of the greedy. Okay, and third, the half mail coding. And in the fourth, the job sequencing problem. And in the fifth, the minimum platform. Okay, minimum platform. Okay, so those are the questions that you can solve when you are practicing or when you are in a interview questions that you can solve those problems. Okay, so if I get support or if I get any kind of comment in the comment box, so I'll try to create a series about those problems to solving those problems. in our YouTube channels as soon as possible. So that's it for today. Now I hope you enjoy this. I hope you have you get on some overview that why AI is not going to replacing, and why tech companies actually still hiring the I mean the programmers or developer based on the DSA test. Okay, so thank you and bye bye.